to Coach Hayes Football Live. He can talk about anything from high school to the pros. This guy knows the game, so you better not be half-stepping.
I can guarantee you most of the audience is going to agree with me before they agree with you.
Strap in, because Coach Hayes is about to
Crack your cranium and fertilize your brain. Go ahead, right now.
Subscribe now and check out CoachHayesFootball.com.
Woo! What's up, baby? Hey, welcome to Coach Hayes Football Live. We got an exciting show for everybody that's in here. Do me a quick favor, like I always say at the very beginning. Make sure everything sounds good so far as the audio, as far as the visual, just to make sure if I need to make any corrections, I can do so. Real man, I'm telling you, I'm super pumped about this show. We talking about the biggest college football game of any year is the national championship, of course, man. We're talking about Ohio State versus Alabama, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, for everybody out there, know I'm a Cane fan. I'm from the crib, but I'm also feeling blessed because the game is being played at the crib. So I'm okay with it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to start this thing off. I got some very special guests, some very knowledgeable guests that I'm telling you, man, they blow me away. I've actually had one of them, which is Richie Green from TireTalkSports.com on my show before talking about Alabama. I'm also having Kevin Noon, who is from BuckeyeGrove.com. He's a publisher there. He's actually in Miami right now, getting ready to go to the game. He's currently on an interview. As soon as he finishes that one, he's going to come to us around 6:30 or so. So that's a blessing, man. I cannot wait to hear these guys and get them talking. So I'm going to jump straight into it. Let me do a couple of quick announcements. Let me see here. Migo, what's up, man? Hey, you still ain't holler at me, man. Say who I like, coach. I'm going to leave that alone right now. I'm not going to touch it. You know what I mean? I'm just the host of the show. I'm the man in the middle, as they say, the host with the most. I got my Polo Little Timmy shirt on. I'm feeling good. You can definitely cop those at CoachHayesFootball.com. Go to the shop tab. You can definitely pick one of those up. Also, let me see here. Jacob Quincy said, let's go Bucks. All right, so we got one for the Bucks. Toby, what's up? This is my cuz. Hey, cousin. What's up, Toby? Love you. Let me see here. We got a couple of more in here. I need you guys to pile on in. We right now at 22. All right, let's get this thing going. I know it's a bunch of guys doing shows today, doing them right now. So for those that are here, thank you for being here with me and our guests. So because you could be on any other channel in the world, but you decided to be here. So I'm loving it. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. I'm going to go ahead and bring in our very first guest. This guy is, not only him, right? All of the Tide Talk Sport guys, man. You know, I'm a Cane fan. I keep saying it. But I'm super impressed with these guys with their amount of knowledge. They cover everything from football, basketball, golf, lacrosse, whatever Alabama has in their athletic department, they cover it. So make sure you check them out. And I'll definitely make sure that he's going to introduce himself. I don't want to leave anything out. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my man, Richie Green from Tide Talk Sports. Ricky, how you doing, man?
What's going on, Coach? You know me, I'm cool as creek water, getting ready for this game tonight.
Hey, baby, that boy say he cool as creek water. Hey, now that's cooler than the polar bear's toenails. Oh, well. You know what I'm saying? Hey, real quick in the comment section, let me know if you know where that little line come off of that verse right there. And it's out of that Georgia area, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, Ricky, like I said, we're going to talk about Alabama football, right?
Yep.
We had a chance to meet since I started this channel in April. I think you actually met or you reached out to me. However, it went around maybe May, I want to say, somewhere in there, man. And ever since, it has been a blessing, man. We chop it up all the time. And I think you are the ultimate Alabama fan in my eyes because you know everything. You might even know why they call it Crimson Tide. So I'm super excited about this, man. Let's talk a little bit about Alabama. I know we talked about everybody knows about the COVID deal and everything. How did they still continue to do the same things they've been doing continuously, even through this whole pandemic?
I think that, first of all, you got to take your hat off to Nick Saban. His leadership, it starts at the top, and there's an expectation throughout the program at the University of Alabama that there's a certain way that we're going to do things. And when Nick Saban and the staff and the administration at Alabama, in conjunction with the Southeastern Conference, developed their plan for dealing with COVID-19 this season, Alabama even took that plan and then made it a bit more stringent, even more so than what it already was. And they've done a tremendous job of managing everybody during this pandemic. They created a safe bubble environment for the athletes and the staff there at Alabama. And I think that they've done just as good a job as anybody else in the country when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic and keeping that all under control. So definitely a big deal for Alabama, the way that they were able to not be constantly missing a lot of guys due to whether it was positive tests or contact tracing. They did a really good job creating that bubble environment with their testing and the way that they went about doing what they needed to do to keep everybody safe and healthy and give us this college football season that we've all been able to enjoy so much.
Definitely, man. And I'm a terrible host right now. I jumped straight into it, Ricky, and I didn't even give you a chance to introduce yourself, where you're from, where the people can find you, all of that stuff. So go ahead real quick. And I also did put in the chat at the very top. You can go to that YouTube channel he's probably about to mention as well.
That's right. So on social media, you can follow me at BamaRLG on Twitter. Make sure you follow all of our guys at Tide Talk Sports as well. And then on YouTube, we have the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel. And that is a partnership that we have with Chat Sports, one of the largest live digital sports media companies in the world. We're growing. We're excited about it. And we're really looking to roll it to another level in 2021. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, take a few minutes and do that now. We're trying to hit 5,000 subs tonight. So head on over, check out our lineup of videos covering all things Crimson Tide. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button.
Definitely, man. Well, I appreciate that. And here we go, man. Let's jump into this thing because we're going to do about an hour. We're already 10 minutes into this deal. So here we are. Alabama is playing Ohio State. We understand that, okay? You all are the favorite. You all are 9-point favorites right now. Those points just jumped up 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, here in the past hours, a couple hours or so, right?
Right.
Okay. So with all that being said, I don't know to ask. Well, what is it that Alabama needs to do to win this game? What has to happen?
I'm going to keep it real with you, Coach. I always tell you I'm going to keep it 8 more than 92 with you. And Buckeye fans might not appreciate this very much, but I am going to keep it real no matter what. Alabama has to just be Alabama tonight. If anything happens, Ohio State were to win this football game, at least in my opinion, it would be because Alabama failed to do what they've already been doing all season long. They're going to establish the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, win the turnover battle. And I think if they can do those couple of things, they've got a really, really good shot, along with establishing that run game to take home national championship number 18 tonight.
And it's interesting you bring up the run game, right? So I'm here looking at things and I'm looking at rankings and so forth. And sometimes I'm a numbers guy. Sometimes I'm not, right? But it's good to look at these things just to kind of get a feel of what you're seeing. And you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're more of the expert than I by any means. Alabama, I'm trying to pull it up right here. Here we go. Alabama's rushing yards, okay? They're averaging 349, so let's just say 350 passing and 185 rushing right now.
Yep.
And that puts them number 5 in passing in college, but they put them number 48th in rushing. That's not typical Alabama football. Would you agree?
It's not. And let me say this, though. It's not typical Alabama football historically. Now, the past couple of years, we've started to see a shift in offensive philosophy at Alabama. But as long as Nick Saban is the head coach at Alabama, that running game is going to be there and be a part of any offensive plan that is put together there at Alabama. If you're a one-dimensional offense and you can't run the ball, you can't use that to set up play action pass, takes away from your RPO game some even. So I think that it's very important, even though the stats may not look like Alabama has been heavy on that run game this year, the way that it's used and the times that it has been leaned on, I think is very important. And that's something that we'll see tonight against Ohio State, is the way that we use that run game, not so much the totality of the numbers being such a big factor.
I got you, because even as I look at Ohio State, I mean, they are pretty much dead even. 272 passing, 273 rushing. So if you say, if you want to call it a balanced offense, I haven't seen an offense that close to being dead even by any stretch of the imagination. But other than that, everything else seems to be pretty close. Total score, you guys are 48, Ohio State at 43. These are all averages, of course. Number of plays, Alabama at 68, Ohio State at 72. Yards per play, 7.5 for Ohio State, 7.8 for Alabama. So looking at this, you guys are pretty evenly matched. But to be a 9-point favorite, what do you think gives way to that 9-point favorite lean in Vegas?
I think it has a lot to do, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, the line was at about 6.5 or 7 up until just a few hours ago. And then we saw that jump. And I think that's got a lot to do. And maybe your next guest can kind of give us a little more info on this. But I think that Ohio State's going to have some holes in their lineup tonight. And I think that that's going to be one of the biggest factors that will contribute to that jump that we've seen and to Alabama being a 9-point favorite. I think you also have to take into consideration the sample size for each of these two teams. Alabama has played a full season inside what is, in my opinion at least, the toughest conference in college football. Played 12 games so far. Ohio State's only played, 7 or 8 games. So I think that it's a combination of those two things, sample size and the possibility that Ohio State could have some real holes in their lineup tonight.
I got you. And when you say holes, you're referring to maybe some guys missing. I know there was a big COVID issue on their side of the fence about some guys missing out due to COVID and so forth. But I'm going to leave that up to Kevin Noon. He's the expert, so I don't want to speculate. I know he digs deep, and I definitely don't want to I don't want to, I guess lack of a better term is disrespect his profession by speculating. So I'm going to definitely wait till he gets on. But I can flip to you. Who are you guys not going to have on the field this game that are impact players?
Well, I think you got to start with Landon Dickerson, our anchor there at center on the offensive line. You asked me just a few minutes ago what it's going to take for Alabama to win this national championship game. And the very first thing that came to my mind was establishing that line of scrimmage. We know that games are won and lost in the trenches. I've heard you talk about it over and over again. And not having a all-American early first or second round type talent there at center is something that we're definitely going to be needing to watch tonight from Alabama. Fortunately, though, for the Crimson Tide, we have a fifth-year senior in Chris Owens that is ready to step up, played last week against Notre Dame and played very, very well there. He is a guy that I have confidence in, but there's no doubt about it. There's going to be some drop there as far as talent is concerned, looking at a guy like Landon Dickerson versus a guy that can come in and fill that hole like Chris Owens.
I got you. Now, other than that, do you guys have any other guys that have to sit out due to any COVID issues or maybe even injury?
Okay, so as far as the COVID-19 situation is concerned at Alabama, we should be good to go there all the way. I haven't heard anything about any of the testing results that came back. Our athletic director, Greg Byrne, announced on Twitter, I believe it was early yesterday morning that, or maybe even the day before, that all the COVID testing leading up to the weekend had come back Nobody was positive. We were in good shape there. But I'll be watching to see freshman defensive back, star freshman defensive back this year, Malachi Moore, playing at that star position, is a guy that is questionable for this game tonight, according to Nick Saban. He's got some muscle spasm type deals going on, so we'll be looking to see if Malachi is able to go. He didn't play last week against Notre Dame, and Malachi Moore has been sensational this year as a freshman, coming in, winning that starting battle there at the star position, and really has been a big part of that Nick Saban defense this year. He's a kid that's great in coverage. He can come up and lay the wood. Very, very versatile football player. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Minka Fitzpatrick. So missing a guy like him could definitely be something that Alabama, you don't want to be in that situation, not having a guy like him. And it's possible that we might be without him tonight, be watching that. But the good news is it looks like, from all indications, that Mr. Jalen Waddle is getting ready to make his triumphant return tonight against Ohio State. And I am blown away by that. I know you can see my face lighting up talking about Waddle. Waddle, baby, is incredible. And I think we're going to see him play tonight, and not only play, but make a real impact in this national championship game.
Well, now it's funny you bring up Waddle, right? Because we know he had that devastating injury.
Yep.
And most guys don't recover from that as quickly. I don't know if he went to Terrell Owens' house and got that hyperbaric chamber or whatever it is, or he even went and saw Mr. Miyagi and rubbed his ankle. But I would be highly surprised and impressed if I see him go on the field from the type of injury that he suffered to go out and perform at a very high level. Now, do we think that it may be a decoy role? I don't know. Like I said, you guys are the expert. I'm just here to pose the questions.
Well, this is my answer to that. I don't think that Jalen or Coach Saban, the staff at Alabama, or Jalen Waddle's family would really take a chance on something happening with him just for him to serve in a decoy type capacity. So I feel like if we see number 17 tonight, it's going to be Jalen Waddle lining up and giving it everything he's got and actually being a part of tonight's game plan.
I definitely get it, man. So here's what I'm getting ready to do. We talked about that a little bit. Let's talk about Devonta Smith winning the Heisman, right? Mac Jones was in the running for the Heisman as well. What does that – I mean, just think about it. I always said this, and I'm going to ask you this question. When you have a receiver and a quarterback in the Heisman running, who made who? I like to ask that question, right? Did Devonta Smith make Mac Jones? And I know I'm kind of putting you here in a tight spot. Or did Mac Jones make Devonta Smith with the kind of throws?
Well, I'll just agree with Mac Jones here, because Mac has not been shy at all about saying that he wouldn't be anywhere close to where he is now without his teammates and his fantastic receivers. So without getting too much of my personal opinion through in here, it could really go either way, Coach. I mean, you got a quarterback like Mac Jones and a receiver like Smitty. The relationship that those two guys have is phenomenal. They have trust in one another that is unrivaled, point blank, period. It could go either way. But I'm a real big fan of Devonta Smith. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, not only as a football player, but as a young man and a student athlete as well. You couldn't ask for a better person than Devonta Smith. So I'm going to go with Smitty tonight.
Okay, I'm like, now let me ask you this. Everybody's been talking. One of the things that and I'm going to ask Kevin these same questions pretty much, but one of the things that they say in order for, or one of the biggest factors is the Shaun Wade-Devonta Smith matchup. We've all seen the tweet. You know, he didn't necessarily say a name in his tweet, but he did say, something to the effect of, who I want to cover. What do you think that matchup is going to look like? Do you think Shaun Wade is going to need some help? Do you think he can handle it by himself or what?
This is not a knock against Shaun Wade in any way, shape, or form. But if he thinks he's going to line up one-on-one and cover Devonta Smith tonight, they need to check his head. He might be in concussion protocol or something. Coach, these defensive backs and defensive coordinators have schemed and done everything they can do all season long to stop Devonta Smith or at least slow him down, and nobody's been able to get the job done. Devonta Smith is as close to being unguardable as you will see in college football today.
I got you. So here's the deal, right? Because I've been hearing this. I've been hearing these things when you talk about strategies and schemes, and I as a coach, I love that stuff, right?
Right.
They say in order to stop Devonta Smith, you got to stop the root of the problem is the guy who's throwing the ball to him, which is Mac Jones. You got to create pressure, have him under duress, have a lot of pressure, have a lot of exotic blitzes coming at him where he doesn't know where it's coming from. It may be a corner blitz, maybe two guys, may have his own blitz and so forth. Because, again, Devonta Smith is nothing without the ball, in essence, right? So my question is, do you think that would be an Ohio State game plan?
You got to try to slow him down somehow. I'm just not sure. In my college football mind, I've spent hours and hours thinking of what is the best way to get that done. How do you slow a guy like that down? And any way you look at it, if you bring safety help to try to slow Devonta Smith down, well, then you're leaving John Mechie or a Jaleel Billingsley or now a Jalen Waddle without help. Man, it's going to be hard to get it done. And I just really am not sure where you would even start as a defensive coordinator to try to slow down Devonta Smith or any of these receivers for Alabama for that matter.
Exactly. Real quick, man, I want to say this. We haven't talked about the running game, right? So Najee is back there. He's doing his thing. He's toting the rock. You know, everybody saw his offseason workout, the work he put in, and it's paying off. So, again, we know that Devonta Smith is the hot hand right now, just winning the Heisman, less than a week ago, so forth and so on. But my question is, what is Najee's role so far as tonight?
Well, I think he's got just an important of a role as Devonta Smith and Mac Jones have. I think that without that run game, it takes away a lot of what we want to do in the passing game. So, the success that Mac Jones and Devonta Smith and the other receivers may or may not have tonight, in my opinion, is directly proportionate to the success that we have with that run game. I think Najee Harris is poised to run for, somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 175 yards tonight. He's a big, powerful back. He's athletic. He can block. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he'll have a big night, and that's really important for the rest of the offense to get going. You got to look to establish that run early, and I think we'll see Alabama try to feed that big back early and often tonight.
I heard that. Now let me ask you this. We talked a lot of offense. Let's talk a little defense here. And here's my question, right? We know that they didn't open up, but they played Ole Miss early.
Yep.
Ole Miss, they basically were in a shootout, which I think was a much lesser talented team. Would you agree?
Yeah.
But with Lane Kiffin, kind of being the magician he is in essence, and even knowing kind of how things work and how Nick Saban's systems work, do you think that the defense and the defensive backs and that whole scheme had kind of been exposed a little bit?
I think it was. And I think we saw some adjustments made after that. Nick Saban, within his defense, he has always been a guy that is about man. We're going to man up on these receivers, and that allows us to do everything else we want to do. But after that Ole Miss game, we kind of saw the philosophy shift a little bit for Alabama. I started seeing a lot more zone coverage. Now, there was some man principles and a little bit of man sprinkled in, but for the majority of the time after that Ole Miss game, we simplified the defense, I believe, a little bit as far as the amount of moving and made the communication between the coaching staff and the players on the field better. And I think that we saw a shift in the philosophy, more zone, less man. And I think that's really big when you're talking about how much more success this defense has had since that game against Ole Miss.
All right, so we're not seeing the old typical Rip Liz match that he's known for. Everybody talking about the Rip Liz match defense and so forth and so on. So I just wanted to bring that up. Here's what I'm getting ready to do, Ricky, and to our viewers and guests listening. I'm going to open up the phone lines. I only have one request. Well, I actually have two. Real quick is I ask that we be respectful to our guests. If you come on here with foolishness, come on, man, cut it out. It's a game. And secondly, we just ask not to curse because we do have some young people in here watching. All right, and also we have Kevin Noon just popped into the background. So the phone lines here open. I'm gonna pop the banner up here for a quick second. We'll take a call or two, and then we'll bring on Mr. Kevin Noon to talk about Ohio State. So you're more than welcome to call in. That number is 321-328-8235. So we'll take those calls if you got anything to say in regards to Alabama. I know that Mr. Noon has to go because he's doing interviews. He's going to the game, so forth and so on. But so we don't have much time with him. But I definitely want to talk to him. So if I don't get a call here within the next few seconds or so, I'll just shut it down. And I believe, Ricky, if not, you'll stay on with us just a little bit longer and we can maybe chop it up with some call-ins. Because I know it's hard to interview you guys. People constantly calling in. So we go from there. All right, real quick. I think they scared of you. I think you done scared them off, Ricky.
Look, I want all the smoke. I want all the smoke. If they want to come and try to get a piece of it tonight, come on and get it. Hit the phone. We can do it. Hit the phone.
Here goes some smoke right here. Caller, talk to us. What's your name? Who you going for? And you got to do me a favor, cut the background down just a little bit.
All right, what's going on, man? This is Miami Hurricane Mike Lowry out of Fort Myers, Florida, and I can't wait. I'm glad you done set this little interview up because we play Alabama next season. You know that? We getting all the information. We spying on you right now. We telling you all. We want you to tell us everything you know. The offense, the defense, but we're going to get back to this Ohio State thing. I think that Alabama is in a little trouble. I really do. The way I seen how Ohio State played last weekend, I was shocked. So I don't know if they're going to come into the game the same way they did last week, but that was a heroic performance out of the quarterback, Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that this guy played his heart out like that. In the athletic ability that Ohio State showed, even though the guy from Alabama said they only played 8 games, they showed me a lot on both sides of the ball. They bullied Clemson. When you say the Big Ten, that's a representation of the Big Ten. I was recruited by the Big Ten, Purdue, and I was recruited by Iowa out of Fort Myers, Florida. Okay, gotcha. So, and Mr. Richie Green, I'm going to be subscribing to the Roll Tide YouTube because I support the Tigers. I support the Tide. I support the Eagles. I support the Rebels. I like the SEC. One of my homeboys went to Ole Miss. So I love the SEC, what y'all put on. But tonight, I think y'all in a little trouble. If that boy Justin Fields comes out of there and plays pretty good, I think that because those receivers and if Patrick Surtain plays good, you're going to be in the game. But if those receivers play like they played last week against Clemson or DBs, then I think that it's going to be an upset. When you say they're going to run 175 yards with Najee Harris, I kind of think Najee might get 100, but they run an RPO. So with those big guys in that from the Big Ten, Ohio State, they're going to clog up the garbage. They're going to clog up the holes. So you're going to have to dump the ball out on them some flare passes. You're going to have to get them out into some screens. Those bubble screens are not going to work today with Devonta Smith. They're not going to work. You're going to have to go down the field. You're going to have to run some posts. You're going to have to run some post corners. You're going to have to run some drags. You're going to have to run some zags. You understand what I'm saying? So if Steve Sarkisian is a good play caller. He's a great play caller. Like Mr. Green said that Nick Saban is going to run the ball. But like he said, the game is won in the trenches. So tonight will be a test of both Power 5 conferences. Who has the real dogs?
I heard
They say Ohio State. They say Ohio State got the real dogs from 1930 all the way up to 2020. But as the man said, Mr. Green said, they done won 18 championships at Alabama. So how can you compete with that?
I heard that.
So it's just a mix-up. And then you got the point spread going up to 9. So what I'm looking for tonight, and I'm glad I called in. I love this show, Coach Hayes. I love you, boy.
Thank you, man.
What I call in for tonight is I want to see the best national championship game played ever. You know why? There are no fans in the stadium. You know what that means? There is a 90% mental game that's going to be going on with the coaches and the players. It's only going to be 10% physical. And that 10% physical is going to be on that offensive line and that defensive line. And I thank you for letting me call in.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I'm about to I'm gonna cut the line off. Ricky, if you like to respond to that, I'm gonna bring in Kevin Noon and we're gonna make it happen.
Well, I gotta respond to it, Coach, and I'm glad that Kevin's coming in because I just got a flash notification here in front of me that it looks like Ohio State may be without 13 players tonight. So we gotta get Noon in here and see what that's all about and get the truth, get what's real about the situation with COVID and Ohio State. I'm looking forward to hearing what Kevin's got to say about that.
I love it, man. Well, without further ado, let's bring him in. I don't know what his thing is up. Let's see what happens. I got him sitting here in the backstage. All right, Kevin. Kevin, do me a favor. Come out and come right back in. I'm not sure why you back here, but it won't allow me to bring you in.
Okay,
I don't know if you can hear me. And now give me a thumbs up in the background if you
can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's good with me, Coach.
Yeah, I see him.
Test.
Is he on? He's not on, though, is he?
I'm seeing him.
Yeah.
I see him in the background. I can't get him on the screen.
Here,
I'm seeing him on the screen.
I'll bail and come right back in.
Oh, really?
Yep.
We're gonna find out right quick. Let's make this happen. We're gonna see if we can fix this. Well, anyway, hey, it happens, man. Technology. I'm just a football coach, so I'm gonna jump right on in. We're gonna make this thing happen. I'm gonna double up, and we're gonna make it happen.
And we just lost Coach.
I'm back.
Coach Hayes back.
Here we go. I'm gonna bring you to the top, Kevin. I'm gonna sit down here at the bottom. Kevin, thank you so much for coming in, man. I know we've exchanged a couple of tweets before based on my WREs, which is Watch, React, and Evaluate. So with that being said, please introduce yourself, where you're from. I know you're from BuckeyeGrove.com and you're the publisher. You're currently in Miami, and I've been following your tweets. I see you down there on South Beach, Kevin. What you doing on South Beach, Kevin? Huh?
Yeah, I was over at the Clevelander watching the Browns game with some of my friends, and it was quite the scene, and there was a lot of scenery, I'll say that. I'm going to be back here very soon just to come check all that out again. It was a good time.
I heard that, man. So, like I said, just tell us real quick, BuckeyeGrove.com. You're the publisher. Where can they find you on Twitter and everything? And then we're going to jump straight into it.
Right, yeah, I'm at Kevin_Noon or at OSU at Rivals, and you can find us at BuckeyeGrove.com, part of the Rivals.com network.
Gotcha, man. So you're part of Rivals. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, you could have been anywhere. It looks like you're in the media room there at the stadium already, and you're ready to rock and roll. And I know you got a lot of things going on. Let's jump into this. I had a chance to talk to Ricky. I'm not sure if you guys ever met. So Ricky, Kevin, Ricky, how you doing? Let's make it happen. So
Kevin.
So real quick, Ohio State comes in as a 9-point underdog in this game. They've had some, I guess, COVID issues. What can you tell us in regards to the COVID issues that are happening? What players may be out or may be listed as out as of right now?
Well, the list is not supposed to be out until 7 o'clock. And as a responsible journalist, I'm not going to repeat anything that I may or may not have seen on a list until we hit the street date. Ohio State will not be at 100%. There will be some players that they will have to make adjustments because they will not have them. They did not travel down to Miami for one reason or another. So Ohio State's certainly not coming into the game at 100%. But, I guess when you sit there and you look at some of the other games where they were without certain players, this is not as deep of a list as I've seen at other times. So, with that being said, it'll be a challenge in a game that was already going to be a tremendous challenge for them. So, here in 22 minutes, the list I'm sure will be out everywhere on social media, but I know that it has kind of gotten out there, and nothing we can do about that.
Right. Well, I'm gonna ask you one question because I think I turned coach journalist now. So I'm gonna ask one question. Are there some significant, not to give any name, but are there some starters that may be missing that we don't know of 22 minutes from now?
They might be down a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. We're not dealing with a Justin Fields or a Trey Sermon or somebody like that, or Sean Wade. We're not dealing with guys like that, but Ohio State certainly will have a couple guys that are seeing significant snaps who will not participate in this game.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about Justin Fields. I know he suffered an injury in that last game with the linebacker hitting him in the ribs. Everybody has speculated. I definitely have not been in the training room. And like I said, I would never want to disrespect your job as being that guy to find out that information. Have you found out anything in regards to the type of injury Justin Fields suffered?
It seems that he's, we just saw a video of him running around and playing ping pong and making a diving, move for that. But that's different than having, somebody barreling down on you or whatnot. He's going to have some discomfort. I mean, you're going to get out into this game and the adrenaline's going to take over, and the enormity of the moment. So, he might not be feeling a lot of pain, but the first time that helmet meets sternum on him, it's certainly probably not going to feel very good. So, it's going to be important for this offensive line to protect him as much as they can, and you're going to have to wonder what Ohio State's game plan is going to be in terms of being able to execute the zone read that they're so good at and is such a pillar of their offense.
Right. And speaking of that, with Master T, I know he had an injury. Will he be ready to go, or is it still Trey Sermon he's going to lead this thing off?
Well, I think you ride the hot hand at this point, and I think with that being said, that Trey Sermon is going to be your guy. But I think that at this point, there's not a tomorrow. You're not saving a guy for a game in 7 days or 14 days or 21 days. I mean, you don't want to put somebody in harm's way. You don't just throw them out there with, no regard for their well-being. But I guarantee you, anybody that's going to be suiting up tonight here in an hour and 20 minutes, as the team is already on the field going through some warm-ups, is going to want to play. It's just going to be a matter of guys that have been kind of held out, if they can convince the training staff that they're good to go.
I heard that, man. So that's great. Now, let me ask you this. What is it being a 9-point underdog right now? What is it that Ohio State is going to need to do in order to win this game?
Not make mistakes. I mean, they have to play a clean game. They're going to have to go out there and execute. They can't be fast and loose with the ball. They can't afford to be -1, -2, -3 in terms of turnovers. They need to probably take the ball away a couple of times. And I think that it's a case of, you just can't allow yourself. And Ohio State has been a great underdog. They're not an underdog much, but they've been a great underdog through the years since 2012. You just have to sit there, and if Alabama comes right out and marches down the field on its first drive and in 4 plays or whatever, you just, you sit there and say, well, we're going to put it in the hands of our offense, and we're going to go out there and we're going to do the same thing, because we have seen some high-scoring games on the Alabama schedule. And granted, we all like doubling back to that Ole Miss game, but that was so early in the season. Some of those young guys are older guys now at this point, so you can't sit there and say what happened against Ole Miss is exactly what's going to happen here. You can maybe look at the UF game and see something there, but Ohio State just has to play a clean game. I mean, I think that if Ohio State plays a clean game, that we see a game that goes into the fourth quarter. But you fall too far behind if that were to happen. Tendencies to get away from the run, and this Ohio State's not going to be the type of team that's going to want to go out there and attempt 55 passes.
Gotcha. Now let me ask you this, and I asked Ricky this earlier. I'm not sure if you had a chance to catch it. I know you were doing the interview prior to. The matchup, I guess, is going to be a matchup between the Heisman winner and Devonta Smith and Mr. Sean Wade. How do you see that? How do you see that playing out for 4 quarters?
I think each of them will have their moments. The thing is, Devonta Smith just needs to have a couple of plays to sit there and make a giant impact. It's not like he's going to need to have 20 receptions or anything like that. So, I think that there are a lot of Ohio State people out there that are concerned about that. I think they're more concerned about the fact that if it's not Shaun Wade on him, if it's Seven Banks, or if it's Marcus Williamson or whatever. I mean, if they trot Jalen Waddle out there and he's able to play, and and everybody wants to talk about Jalen Waddle this and Jalen Waddle that, I think everybody needs to be concerned about John Mechie too. I think he's a hell of a player. So, it's kind of a pick your poison type of situation. We love just crystallizing things down to just a one-on-one matchup, but we know it really doesn't necessarily work that way when it comes to this. I mean, when you're sitting there and where's the safety, where's everything happening at this point? But there's no way that Ohio State's going to be able to just sit there and like bracket somebody like that.
Yeah, because they have so many weapons, right? So, it's 11 on 11 at the end of the day. And if I put 2 on one guy, then I'm short on somebody else. It's like trying to plug a boat with 2 holes in it. You got 1 cork. You know what I mean? You're going to sink eventually. But again, sometimes some people have to come up and make plays. Unfortunately, I always say this thing as being a coach, and I kind of got this from Chip Kelly when he was talking about Oregon running 120 plays. Was he said out of 120 plays, I only got to be right 7 times. That's 49 points. So if you really think about it, if you think about if I'm right 7 times out of 120 times at bats, that's 49 points. You should win ball games at 49 points. And that's the hard part about being a defensive coach and player is that, man, you can get a guy for all 59 minutes in that last 30 seconds, man, over the top and it's over. And we've seen that happen before. Alabama take it in when they brought in Tua. And he threw the ball in the end zone. You know what I mean? So it's tough, man. Real quick, let me ask you this in regard, like I said, we talked about the running game a little bit. I know I'm coming back and forth, but I want to talk about the running game in regards to Trey Sermon. Did the guy – I mean, I know he played at OU and everything, but he just put on a doggone show. Where did he come from? Where did this guy come from?
Well, you got to remember, I mean, he was coming off of an injury, and I mean, especially you, coach, as a coach, that coming back from an injury is just as much about the mental side as it is the physical side. Do you trust your knee? Do you feel like you can sit there and stick your foot in the ground and make that cut and everything else? And I don't know if Trey Sermon was there for the first couple of games, and then he gets kind of thrust into the main role, and he's flourished. 331 against Northwestern, a $193 against Clemson. He's out there running with power and balance, and delivering a mean stiff arm at this point. I think a lot Ohio State fans would love to sit there and see the same kind of three-game run that Zeke Elliott had in the 2014 season, which led him to a national championship. So we'll see what happens there with Trey Sermon. But yeah, he's running with reckless abandon right now.
That he is, and determination. He is determined, Kevin, like I've never seen run. And like I said, he just popped. I didn't get a chance to see a lot of Ohio State games, but the ones that I did see, and I'm going to bring that piece up too, is this guy's out of control. Now, let me ask you this question, which has always been a hot topic when it comes to Ohio State and the playoffs with the 6 games. People talked about, I think Ohio, I'm going to be honest with you, I still think Ohio State earned the right to be in the playoffs, me personally. However, and again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the rules, I thought you had to have 9 games or more in, or whatever the case may be. Do you think that is a positive for Ohio State for playing less games, or a negative, meaning they didn't have enough time for the cohesiveness, or the positive being they don't have a lot of wear and tear?
Well, I think they have the cohesiveness because you've gone through this season. You've gone through a year of not knowing if you're going to have a season, and then being told you're not going to have a season, and then being told you are going to have a season, but you're going to start late, and having 3 games canceled along the way. I mean, they've gone through a lot together, and I think that it's going to build a lot of cohesion for them. Yeah, you can certainly make the point that they don't have a lot of wear and tear in terms of the number of quarters of football they played, but what they do have is they've been dealing with with COVID issues since the Illinois game, since before the Illinois game that was called off, and they haven't necessarily been able to trot out a full roster since then. So there are going to be pluses and minuses. And as for what it was for the college football playoff, they didn't have a minimum number in there. There was a number in terms of the Big Ten. The Big Ten wanted you to play a certain percentage of games compared to what everybody else in the league played for eligibility for the championship game. And ultimately that was changed, where Ohio State was sitting at 5 and based on the equation would have needed 6. And I know that that's created some anger and consternation in places like Lincoln, in Norman, Oklahoma, and places like that. But it kind of is what it is, and it's, if Ohio State wins tonight and is an 8-0 national champion, there'll be people that'll sit there and thumb their nose at it. But I guarantee you, there's not going to be a single person in Columbus, Ohio, that's not going to go out and buy a hat and T-shirt and a car pennant over it.
I heard that, man. Definitely. Let me ask you this, because I know you got to get ready to get out of here, Kevin. I do want to open the floor to you guys. Like I said, I don't know if you guys had a chance to meet. If there are some things you guys would like to ask one another in regards to that, so far as just talking about the game, just however it goes as journalists. I look at us all as I'm coach/journalist. You guys are really in deal, man. So, Ricky, if you like to pose a question or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I've got a question that I was looking forward to asking Kevin. I know you said, of course, journalistically, when we're not supposed to talk about injuries and availability, that's a no-no. We don't do that. But I was asked a few days ago, with the threat of some of this COVID stuff looming for Ohio State, could we see some guys that have some positional flexibility maybe being called upon to increase their role or have a slightly different role? And I mentioned in a video that I did last night over on our YouTube channel, a young man named Baron Browning. Alabama fans are familiar with Baron. Alabama really recruited him hard. Could we see a guy like him maybe move into more of a defensive end type role and not just as an outside linebacker?
Slide down to like a rush end. I think there's the chance that you could see something like that. I know that they certainly have played around with that in practice at various points, maybe not something that's been necessitated out of Alabama preparations or whatever, but it's going to be critically important to be able to get pressure on Mac Jones and not allow him to just sit there untouched and carve them up. So, if they need to sit there and have another rush in, especially if they go into a rushman package, I think that the potential's there, especially with the way that Justin Hilliard has been playing as the fourth linebacker. It's a situation of you don't want to get him off the field that much if you can avoid it. The only thing that I sit there and say for Ohio State is they've run some 4-4 front that I've not been a fan of. So I'm just based on what I watch and everything else, that I would hope that they don't necessarily have to employ a lot of that, because I've never felt that it has paid off the way that maybe the defensive coaches think it does.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin, if you pose a question or whatever, you're more than welcome.
At this point, I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit in terms of asking about Jalen Waddle and what's been going on through him. I mean, I read something this afternoon that he's a game-time decision. He'll go through warm-ups, and then there'll be a conversation between Jalen and Coach Saban and the family or whatever, whether or not he's going to be able to go. What is your true thoughts on what might happen there? And more importantly, do you think that he would be able to have a major effect on the game by coming back if he were not 100% or 90% or even 80% and taking possessions away, taking targets away from some of the other receivers?
That's a really good question. I think that, of course, what you just said about the situation is what it is. You were absolutely correct. It's going to be a game time decision. But I've maintained now for the past couple of weeks over on the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel that I believe Jalen Waddle will play. Jalen Waddle, as a competitor, is just a young man that I have thought this entire time, if there's any way possible whatsoever that he can take the field tonight with his brothers here for Alabama, that he would absolutely want to do that. We've heard Nick Saban say in press conferences leading up to tonight that Jalen wanted to play. From everything that I've heard and gathered, he's looked really good. in practices this past week or so leading up to this game tonight, not having really any big-time soreness or swelling or things of that nature. You're going to have some, of course, coming back from injury, but I expect Jalen to contribute to this attack by Alabama's offense tonight. I don't think that we would risk him going out onto the field and potentially being re-injured or something happening for him to just play a decoy type role. I believe if we see Jalen Waddle trot out on the field tonight, it will be with every intention of making a real impact on this national championship game for Alabama.
That's awesome, man. Let me ask you this before you get run out of here, Kevin. I know you got to go. We talked about the players. We talked about the game. I can't wait, just like the caller did, Mike Lowry. Mike Lowry, that's my man. I think what I want to see is a great game. And I have to say that these past national championships have been great game. Unfortunately, I'm usually at the coaching convention, at the AFCA coaching convention when these things go on. And as you know, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 coaches just flock to an area. And I remember we were in San Antonio one year and nothing was open but one McDonald's. And boy, can I tell you, man, 7,000 dudes standing outside looking for a Big Mac is a sight to behold. But I think the one, I believe we were in Tennessee, and the bars were packed, man. And Tua comes in and he throws the touchdown in the back of the end zone. But let me ask you this from a coaching standpoint before you get out of here, guys, or at least Kevin. I know Ricky, you may stay. The coaching carousel, let's talk about it. Is there anybody from the Ohio State side that's going to move on and move out? I know Sarkisian from Alabama is going to go on to Texas, but is there anybody that's being looked at from the Ohio State staff to move on?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be movement. I mean, I think that with Ohio State, there's always talk about when you have guys like Larry Johnson and Greg Madison, who are definitely in their twilight years. Is this going to be the last year? I mean, Larry has told me, hey, just stop writing about my retirement. I'm going to keep coaching. And as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as my wife gives me the A-OK, I'm going to keep coaching. I think a lot of people are curious about what happens with Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. Does he sit there and try and bring Corey Dennis, who's his son-in-law, who's Ohio State's quarterback coach? Does he bring him with him? I know that we're getting way ahead of ourselves because Urban has not accepted the job in Jacksonville, to my knowledge. But, I don't know if I would sit there and say that I see a ton of turnover in terms of what might happen from the coaching staff from 2020 to 2021, but you never know. I mean, sometimes we see them coming from a mile away, and sometimes things just happen all of a sudden. I'll tell you this: I didn't see Mike Yurcich go into Penn State. I mean, that just kind of happened out of the blue. So it just goes to show that sometimes you just don't see these things coming.
I got you. And the same thing with Sarkisian, knowing that he's the coach at Texas now, basically by midnight, he will go on and change out from the crimson to the burnt orange, I guess that's what they call it. Do you see him taking some guys with him of significance from the Tides coaching staff?
Yeah, and, typically Nick Saban is not very happy if someone leaves for another opportunity and starts to take other assistants with them. But I'm told that the moves that will be made after the conclusion of tonight's game pretty much are all with Nick Saban's blessing. Steve Sarkisian has been the ultimate professional during his tenure at Alabama. Couldn't have asked for any better of a job as far as being our offensive coordinator is concerned. And I look for Kyle Flood, our offensive line coach. Hate to see him go, but I think he has a very real possibility of receiving an offensive coordinator tag and coaching the offensive line at Texas under Steve Sarkisian. And there's even some smoke right now about Pete Golding maybe looking to be the next defensive coordinator there at Texas under Steve Sarkisian. And then Holman Wiggins, our wide receivers coach, I think may go to Texas with Steve Sarkisian as well. So we're looking at potentially two other assistant coaches leaving and going with Sarkisian to Texas. And the way I understand it, it is kind of a deal where it's not something Nick Saban's going to be upset about. These are looked at as steps up for these guys. They're, whether it be getting a promotion, a new tag added to their title, a pay raise. These are moves that Nick Saban kind of knew were possible when Steve Sarkisian took that Texas job. And I think that those are the real moves that you need to watch for as far as Alabama's staff is concerned.
I got you. Real quick, I'm going to pop this in. Let me see here. I'm trying to hold on to you, Kevin, to that 7 o'clock so you can give us the news. I'm trying to be slick, Kevin. I'm trying to hold on.
I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to hold me till 7 until the street date. Thank God I got a writer with me who'll push the story, or I'd be in 6 kinds of trouble right now.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you can hold me. You can hold me for 2 more minutes. I was posting it in the private chat just so you had it, so I wouldn't leave you in the lurch.
I got you, man, but I'll definitely put that out there. I'm gonna do this, like I said. I'm gonna hold you for 2 minutes. I know I'm pushing it. I'm gonna open it just in case somebody does call in. They're more than welcome to ask a question. Like I said, just be respectful to the guests. No cursing, man. We do have young people on there watching as well. But guys, I want to just say this while I'm waiting on the call. Thank you all, Ricky. I know we're gonna stay on to take some more calls. But Kevin, we never really had a chance to talk, but we've passed on tweets to one another. And thank you, man. You've always supported anything that I've done, and I'm definitely going to get those things out. And like I said, look at that, right on time. Caller, talk to us. Give us your name. Who are you rooting for? Hello, caller. Talk to us. Who are you rooting for?
Oh, I'm rooting for Ohio State all the way, dude.
All the way. What's your name, caller?
Dan. I'm from New York.
Dano, you have a question for our guys before they have to go? I literally got 30 seconds, so I got to be quick.
And honestly, this is my bad. I missed 5 minutes. Got to go get some pizza.
Okay.
But, I feel like you guys haven't talked about how Clemson got – or Notre Dame. Oh, sorry about cursing.
That's okay. Come on.
Yeah, Notre Dame got absolutely smoked by Clemson, a healthy Clemson in the conference championship. Alabama, they did well against Notre Dame, I would say. But, Clemson just got spanked by Ohio State. So,
I got you, but real quick, because Kevin has to run because he has to do his job. Do you have a question for Kevin, being an Ohio State fan?
Yeah, my question is basically dude, what do you think about the fact that I know you can't say oh, this team beat this team that bad and that team beat that team that bad. But what do you think about how Ohio State showed up against Clemson and Alabama they did well against an okay Notre Dame team who I don't think should have been in the playoffs? That's a story for another day,
I got you, Kevin. I'm gonna let y'all answer, but I'm gonna let him go. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let Kevin answer. I know he has to run, and then we're gonna keep the phone lines open for our next guest, and I'm gonna let these guys answer. Thank you for calling in and supporting the show. Thank you.
No problem.
I think I was just going to say, when you look at the Rose Bowl, I think people get too caught up in the score. If you look at really the game control, Alabama always had that game in control and probably could have done a lot more in that game. So I don't think it's a situation of where, I didn't feel that Notre Dame probably should have been in the 4 either. But I guess I probably had a little bit of a problem with Oklahoma or whatever, or A&M. I don't know. But I don't look at that Rose Bowl game and say that Alabama was not as dominant or was sloppy or anything like that. The game control truly was there. I think it probably could have been a much more significant thrashing if that's what was called for. But you only have to win these games by one once you're in the tournament.
That's right. Anything to respond to that, Ricky? Before I let Kevin.
I think Kevin covered it very fairly there. The transitive property often does not work when looking at college football games. We know that just because one team beats this team doesn't mean that this team will beat that team. But like Kevin said, I think that Ohio State may have been in a situation where they had to do a little more because of the quality of their opponent that Alabama may not have had to do. So I don't think we've seen everything that Steve Sarkisian has in his arsenal against Notre Dame. And I think tonight we may be poised to see just that. And I couldn't be any more excited about the game we're all getting ready to witness.
Definitely, man. Kevin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I got to send you an overtime check, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Enjoy the game. Have fun in my city at the crib, as we call it, man. I'm going to get you a turnover chain, too. And I'm never going to forget that 0-1 season, Kevin. Never.
I appreciate my friend.
Thank you so much, man. And you have fun, man. Bye now. All right, real quick. We got a call on the line. Call to talk to us. I think this might be one of my usual suspects. Talk to me, man.
Coach, it's V12. What's up, Coach? What's up, Ricky? How you guys doing?
All right.
I'm good. This is my usual suspect. Always be on. I hate to use the word co-host because we evil, man. This is one of the hosts of the show. So what's up with you, V12? Talk to us.
Hey, listen, you always brag on Ricky, so I'm glad I got a chance to see him again. I know you guys did a podcast some months ago when COVID was heavy. So I know you guys have got a real, real good chemistry. My question for Ricky is I want to talk NFL. I want to talk NFL with Mac Jones and Justin Fields. You know, Ohio State over the past few years, quarterbacks haven't really fared well in the NFL. So it's a two-part question. One, and I can say the same thing for Alabama outside of Tua. Two-part question. One, how do you think both quarterbacks fare in the NFL? And two, who does better in the NFL out of Justin Fields and Mac Jones?
Asking tough questions. So I'm getting ready to make somebody mad no matter how I answer this question. Look, I think that it's going to have a lot to do with where these two young men end up in the NFL. Of course, you got to look at offensive philosophies and the system that they become a part of. It's hard to say at this point who will be better because we've all seen that we're talking about, whether you like them or not, we're talking about two elite quarterbacks here. Very different styles of play, but each very strong in their respective style. And I think Justin Fields has developed enough as a passer to be dangerous at the next level. And I expect for Mac Jones to have a decently successful career in the NFL as well, at the very least. I think that Mac is often underestimated when it comes to how good he really is as a quarterback. And I think that he may surprise some people at the next level, but definitely both of these guys will have a chance to have long and successful NFL careers, in my opinion. And I think that really either way you go, you could be right or wrong, depending on the situation that they fall into and the system that they become a part of. If it fits, it could be great. If the system doesn't fit, well, then you might struggle a little bit getting adjusted and becoming comfortable in that new system at the next level.
Well, he answered that question. That's
how
what
you like. We'll keep it real for everybody.
I told you, hey, my man, Richie Green, thorough with it, man. Thorough.
I appreciate it, but I don't think any team loses when they draft those two guys. I think they're going to get great players, and like you said, they'll be awesome at the next level. Hopefully, they have longevity moving forward. Appreciate it.
No doubt.
Take the call, Coach. I'm looking for a good game. Good game tonight. You know, I like this. We have no bone. No fight in this. No
dog in the fight.
Yeah. Right. Hey, Ricky, I'm not letting you off the hook either, because as Coach talked about Ohio State 2001, we didn't forget about George Teague running down Lamar Thomas in that bowl game back in the day. And everybody knew it. They used to call me young Lamar Thomas back when I was in high school. That was one of my biggest idols as a UM fan was Lamar Thomas back in the day. So I'm not letting you off the hook either, Ricky. Not letting you off the hook. You're mad about that.
I love it, man. Right. Oh, damn, man. I'm gonna hit you up in a little bit.
All right.
Man, great call in, man. For the guy, he's always on that V12. Real quick, man, we got a donation from Chug Mo Beer, $10, man. I appreciate you. Says Coach Hayes. Let's go Canes. I'm loving it. You know I got to do it, man. So real quick, the phone line is, Lord, I couldn't even get it out. It's already jumping. Call or talk to us. Who you rooting for? Talk to us, and what's your name?
Now, Coach Hayes, it's Kevin from Dallas, Georgia. So you know it's roll.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I hear you, man. You called in the other night, and I know you're a huge Crimson Tide fan, and I knew you couldn't wait for this night to happen to talk to Ricky, man, because he finna. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let y'all boys have it.
What's going on?
Hey, it's nice to know a brother from another mother. And, hey, I just want to just say one thing, and that is, as I think you need to tell Coach Hayes that all our blood runs crimson. I think he needs to know that. I mean, please, make him aware of that. But gentlemen, one thing I just wanted to, is it too far? I mean, is it realistic to say that when you look at Alabama and Ohio State, that it's just a matter of two teams that mirror each other, as far as when it comes to A1 recruits? Now, as far as the coaching is concerned, I have to give Ryan Day about another decade or so as far as coaching is concerned. But as far as when it comes to the talent, and my question as far as to Ricky would be a matter of when it comes to the Crimson Tide. I think you alluded to as far as in one of your shows, as far as young men coming back, and I hope as far as when it comes to Dylan Moses, I respectfully want him to pursue as far as the league is concerned, as well as the senior class. And Coach Hayes, what I was going to ask you about was in reference to, because I know that you do your WRE, to the strength, and it's just a matter when it comes to the backup quarterbacks at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Do you think that at the conclusion of this season that a few of them going to be in the transfer portal because of Quinn Ewers?
All right, I'm going to answer first. I'm going to let Ricky, I'm going to let you hear the long answer. I don't know, man. You know what is funny? And actually, Ricky alluded to it earlier when you start talking about systems and you're talking about coaching and that learning curve. You see it all the time, i.e. Miami Hurricanes, Tate Martell. He's supposed to be the hottest thing coming, and nothing happens. So what I'm just trying to say is I can't answer that, but what I can answer is somebody's going to be in that transfer portal because, unfortunately, when it comes to quarterbacks, it's only one, right? And so therefore, you got the guys that's coming in behind him, and then you got this young cat. He's only junior, right? He got one more year, right?
Yeah.
So he's a junior. So when Justin Fields leaves, and if whoever takes over, is it Stroud that's there now?
Correct.
So Stroud comes in, and then you got this young buck from Texas that's throwing 85-yard balls. Come beat him out. What happens? I mean, that's in the same boat as like when my man at Clemson left for Lord have mercy. Come on, talk to me.
Kelly Bryant, Texas A&M.
When Kelly Bryant,
Missouri, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but think about it. They were just at the 90.
Yep.
And you got a true freshman coming in and Trevor Lawrence and push you out the barn. So you'd be surprised, bro. So I can say this. I can't say who will be in the transfer portal, but I can say someone's going to be in the transfer portal. I can guarantee you that, i.e. Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying? So, Ricky, I'm going to let you go ahead and answer your part.
Well, it's a situation similar to what we're looking at right now at the University of Alabama. We've got a very talented signal caller coming in with this latest recruiting class from Alabama out of the state of Texas. And somebody, like it or not, is going to go. We don't know at this point if, will Bryce Young be able to step up and take these reins next year if Mac Jones does elect to enter the NFL draft? Would Bryce Young consider transfer if Mac came back? You got the young man coming out of the state of Texas here that is a very highly ranked, and he's an elite dual threat quarterback. Jalen is a young man that could come in and really compete for that starting job, right from the get-go. Regardless of who wins or loses whichever starting position, the transfer portal is here to stay. We're going to see people lining up to get in that portal and go whatever it is that they're looking for, more playing time, a different situation, a better scheme that fits their ability a little bit more closely. Always going to have guys transferring, and it's definitely something that you have to watch as a college football fan. And I think that you have to watch it even more today than you did just even 3 to 4 years ago. Things continue to change and evolve on an annual basis. and that transfer portal is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the game of college football.
Definitely, man. That's great. That's a great answer. Go ahead, Kevin.
Pardon me, Coach Hayes. The one thing I just wanted to share this with Ricky, and that is, Ricky, I don't think that's going to be an issue as far as University of Alabama, as far as their quarterback. I think it's, as far as Mac Jones is concerned, Mac Jones is hot right now. Yep. So it wouldn't be in his best interest to come back.
Right.
And when it comes to, say, Paul Tyson, Jalen Milroe, as well as Bryce, hey, they don't have the opportunity to compete, and hey, best man win.
That's it.
But one thing that I would say that's the strength of the University of Alabama, and that is they believe in depth. One thing at all positions, they believe in competition. If you're a freshman, you can play. If you're upperclassman, you can play. It's all about players. And the one thing I will say, Coach Hayes, Ricky, as far as the only things that I don't, if you want to say that kind of poke the bear as far as I'm concerned when it comes to University of Alabama and Coach Saban, is I don't particularly like for him to have, quote, that dude running kicks, whether it's punt returns, and I don't like for those dudes as far as wide receivers, as well as running backs, being on return teams as well as defensive return teams. That's the only thing, Coach Hayes, if I had a bone to pick as far as the University of Alabama, because I believe that cost us a couple championships. Because Eddie Jackson running punts and getting hurt against Tennessee, ironically enough, a few years ago, that hurt us against Clemson that second time. If we had Eddie Jackson at corner, they wouldn't have been running wild as far as in the secondary. That cost us the second time. And then I hope that as far as Jalen playing against Tennessee, as far as running that kickoff, I hope that don't bite us this evening.
Absolutely.
So, Coach Hayes, since I know special teams is a part of your heart, how do you feel about, quote, your boy, that dude playing on special teams?
Well, here's my response, right? I'm gonna stage this thing. So from high school, all right, man, look, the baddest dude gonna touch the ball. But when you get to college, right, that's a total different deal, simply because you have other guys who have that skill set. And like you said, you don't want to lose a guy on that. Now, there are times where I see, especially Clemson do it with Etienne. You the starting running back, and you back there taking kickoff return. You know what I'm saying? And I always say this. I believe that special teams is the 33% forgotten victory. That stuff changes games. That stuff flips fields. If I don't have a guy, to give you a real short answer, if I don't have a guy that can match or even maybe a little bit below what, let's just say, a Waddle could do, I'm sorry, I got to go with it, because that changes games just as much. You understand? Because you got to remember, he's playing more offense than he's playing special teams, percentage-wise, right? He's run more routes, caught more balls than he's caught kickoff returns. He's played, you know what I'm saying? So some people look at, especially some people, I don't want my receivers playing defensive back because they're going to get hurt. But shoot, it's football, bro. So to answer your question, if I don't have somebody in the high school, in on my roster that can give me that even push, I'm going to go for it, man, because you got to, Now, does that mean if I'm up by 35, he's still out there? No. But when it scores 0-0, first kickoff, yes. 14 points, yes. 21 points, maybe not so much. You understand?
Yes, I understand that part. But okay, let me flip it just a little bit, Coach Hayes.
All right, I'm gonna let you get that last one because they rolling in on it.
Okay. I'm gonna be quick, and it's just that I was speaking in reference to more so when it comes to defensive special teams, as in defending kicks, defending punts, and so that's
your gunners and guys like that.
Henry Ruggs doing that last year.
I got you. I'm gonna answer it just like this real quick. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to win the ball game with pretty much that same philosophy. You understand what I'm saying? I gotta do what I have to do. I kind of understand what you're saying, but I'm a defensive minded guy too. So I remember, man, my mindset is way different than a lot of guys who like to see 50, 60 points on the board. My job is always to stop it. And like I said earlier in the show, offense only got to be right a few times, and we sleep. You know what I mean? We could be right 99 times. That one time we wrong, score 7-0, we going home. Helmets to the left, shoulder pads to the right. So it's just that simple. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Coach Hayes. Hey, enjoy what you do, Ricky. Keep doing it. And
yes, sir.
Sporting Roll Tide.
That's right.
Already, man. Thanks a lot, Kevin. And if you're not already subscribed to that channel, these boys trying to get to 5,000. Let's get them to 5K. So go over to Rumor, is right there on his name, Ricky Green, Alabama football news and rumors. Check that out on YouTube. Put that in the search engine. You'll see it pop up. Great content, breaking information, all of that stuff. Ricky, we got another call coming in.
All right, let's go.
I'm trying to tell you, this is a 305 number, so it's going to be some Kane love in the building. Talk to us. Give us your name. I know you're a Kane because I see 305. You can't be nothing else, so go for it.
Hey, what up, Coach Hayes? Can you hear me?
I can.
How you doing? Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. What's your name?
My name is Vic. I'm a diehard Canes fan, as you know. Before I ask my question and give you some thoughts, I just wanted to say I really appreciate all the content and work you do on WERE, shouting out kids from the crib. Your content is incredible, and I think you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of jokers doing these type of shows, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
A little bit about myself. I'm actually a researcher for ESPN. I live in Bristol, Connecticut. I'm a stats and info researcher for college football. So the question that I wanted to pose to you and to Ricky, the top 5, and now this is as a primary defender, as a corner or any sort of defensive back, the top 5 fewest yards per attempt allowed in the country coming into this game. 2 of them are Alabama players. Of course, they both from the crib. I'm not going to talk about how that makes me so sad about this Hurricanes backfield, but Josh Jobe and Patrick Surtain, both in the top 5 in the country of fewest yards per attempt allowed when they are the primary defender on a receiver. Wow. On the flip side, Alabama's defense is the worst in the country in terms of receiving yards per game allowed to running backs and tight ends.
Yep.
Okay? So obviously Surtain and Jobe and these guys in the backfield, Daniel Wright and also Jordan Battle, both from the crib as well. They are not lining up against these running backs and tight ends. And it comes to receptions per game against running backs and tight ends. Alabama is actually the second worst team in the country in all of FBS.
No doubt.
So do you and one last thing, Ohio State, they had 9 receptions for 134 yards from their running backs and tight ends in that game versus Clemson. So do you think Alabama is going to struggle against, or I guess, do you think Ohio State is going to use that to their advantage and target tight ends and running backs? Or do you think Alabama is going to see some sort of different shift in their scheme tonight?
I think that you're.
You say something first, Ricky. My brother Vic, you out of sight when it comes to the stats and break.
He got it.
Hey, Bristol ain't playing around, boy. Listen here.
Hey, it's my job, man. It's my job. Unfortunately, I'm actually working from home right now because they're on site in Miami. So
I got it, man.
They don't need me at the studio right now. So I thought, you know what, while I'm working, because, I'm going to be up till 1 a.m. for this game. I'm actually, shameless plug here, but if y'all are going to be watching ESPN2, hop onto that post-game show with Matt Berry and all them. I'm going to be building all the graphics for that. But,
I love it, man.
I just thought I'd tap in with you because I watch a lot of these shows, and like I said, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. So I just wanted to tap in as I was working, since I'm working from home.
Well, thank you, man. I'm gonna say this, and Ricky, I'm gonna let you respond because you were agreeing, as you knew. I'm straight in. I'm in the atmosphere, so I have no clue. But here's the deal, man. Thank you so much for that and acknowledging that. I really appreciate it. You're a Kane fan. Hey, you from Miami?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
That's right. I love it. All right. So, hey, great job, man, doing what you do. But we're also going to have a post-game show immediately after this. I'm bringing Mr. Ricky Green back on, and we're going to get it in.
Perfect.
I can't bring Kevin Noon back because he'll be doing all the interviews. Yeah, he'll be doing all the interviews and stuff. So I can't get Kevin Noon to come back on. But we're going to take phone calls from the beginning, and we're going to talk some trash. I done took the work. I took the day off work tomorrow. I ain't got to go to work. So I'm here for the long haul, baby. But, Ricky, go ahead and answer Vic's question so we can take a few more calls, and we're going to get out of here at 7:30.
Vic, first of all, that was fantastic information, and you are absolutely correct in what you had said there about Alabama struggling to cover running backs out of the backfield and tight ends. Look, it's been that way all season for Alabama. You've got teams like Arkansas that are considered to be much less talented than an Ohio State or an Alabama or any of these top-tier teams that are using exactly what you talked about as their primary mode of attack against this Alabama defense. And Alabama struggling with that is not magically going to fix itself here in the next 36 minutes, 37 minutes. We struggle covering backs out of the backfield and tight ends. I think that is where Ohio State has to look for success in their passing game because, like you said, with Josh Jobe and Surtain Jr. Out on the boundaries, I'm not terribly worried about Olave or any of these other wide receivers really having monster games for the Buckeyes of Ohio State. But you really got to watch. If you're an Alabama fan, it should make you nervous. They've got some really good tight ends. And then whether we're talking about their starting running back or we're talking about a guy like Master Teague, all of their backs seem to have good hands and have some sort of receiver type ability out of the backfield. And I'm really actually concerned about that area in particular for Alabama tonight. Can we see Alabama do something different and slow down that part of the game, talking about running backs, catching passes out of the backfield and tight ends, particularly when you see a tight end making plays across the middle? Alabama really struggles covering those routes. Hopefully we'll see them step it up just a little bit tonight. But if I'm being honest, that is an area that it causes me great concern and an area that I think Ohio State will have some success in tonight.
Gotcha. I appreciate that answer, Ricky. I'm going to hop off really quick. And I appreciate your time as well, Coach Hayes.
No problem.
One thing really quick before I hop off. I don't know if it's out publicly, but this is from my people at work. Tommy Togiai for Ohio State will not be playing tonight's game. The big defensive tackle, very good. So just wanted to put that out there in case you guys hadn't heard. But thank you so much for your time, and I'll be there at the post-game show. Thank you both.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I need to holler at you too, man, about some stuff because I'm just a football coach, and I'll be YouTubing my graphics and stuff up, not to put it out there on the public, but we need to talk, man. Hit me up. I'm on Coach Hayes FB on Twitter, and you can do me Instagram. We need to tweet some background. So let's talk, man.
Yes, sir. We'll do. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you, man.
So go Canes. Go Canes.
Go Canes. I'm loving it. All right, here we go. So real quick, I do want to say that, man, one last gift Kevin left us before he left was he said, here's the list. Unavailable tonight is cornerback. And again, this is Ohio State. Cam Brown. Defensive line, Jacoby Cohen. Kicker, Dominique Damasio.
Yep.
Defensive tackle, Ty Hamilton. Wide receiver, Jalen Harris. The other kicker, Lord, we done lost two of them. Blake Hallbill. Man, this dude's so thorough. He even gave me, he broke down the enunciation of the other names. I love this guy. All right. Offensive tackle, DeJuan Jones. Linebacker, Cade Kekarski. Linebacker, Mitchell Melton. Defensive end, Tyreek Smith. Defensive tackle, which Vic just told us, Tommy Togiai.
Yep.
Safety, Court Williams, and running backs, Mayan Williams. The only starters out of all of those guys, the starters are the defensive tackle is Tommy Togiai, defensive end, Tyreek Smith, and the kicker, Blake Hallbill. So we're talking about basically one side of the ball, the defensive tackle and the defensive end.
So now you see why I said Najee Harris about to run for 150 to 175. I wasn't just blowing smoke, Coach. This Joe Moore award-winning offensive line for Alabama, man, Ohio State's defensive line is going to have to play outside of themselves tonight to slow down that rushing attack. And I'm just trying to keep it 100. I knew that Tommy Togiai was going to be out.
Nah, Ricky, don't ever say 100 again. Tell me what you always say.
8 more than 92, baby. 8 more than 92.
I'm loving it, man. Go for it.
So, yeah, I knew those two defensive linemen were going to be out. We started to hear those things over the past couple of days. And I think that that's really going to be a big factor against Ohio State in this game. Anytime you have starters on your defensive line not playing, it's hard to win those battles in the trenches, especially when you're talking about offensive line like what we have right now at the University of Alabama. Definitely going to be something to watch for college football fans tonight.
Definitely, man. Well, listen, we at the 7:30 mark. Everybody got to get a little time to get themselves mentally prepared. I know you got to go. I know I was hearing your wife back there banging them pans, so it's going to be some good eating while y'all
going to get it.
Hey, tell us, save Coach Hazel played. I'm on my way. And with all that being said, listen. We are jumping back on. I know definitely myself and Richie Green is jumping back on, right? Win, lose, or draw, right?
That's right.
Hold on. Win, lose, or draw, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a dub, though, so I'm not really that worried about it. We're coming back with all the smoke after we catch this dub. We're getting ready to smoke on that Buckeye pack tonight.
I heard that, man. So we're going to jump on immediately after the game, roughly 10-15 minutes or so at the buzzer. We're going to jump on. We want to talk about it. Phone lines opening up. There's nothing to talk about. We're going to have fun and talk about what happened and whatever, but I want to hear everybody's comments. My man right here is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Alabama football. I couldn't even agree with Vic because I didn't even know that was a stat. And he up
it
there
is a stat.
He's like, yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm saying, how can Alabama and even Ohio State be last in any of these categories?
Yep.
For $1 million on my firstborn, I'd have lost both. I would have never said Alabama would have been last in any category in college football. And somebody found a stat for that, man. So big shout out to Vic, man, for doing that and for you knowing it. So, like I said, go check out his channel. Hit the subscribe button while you're here. Hit the notification bell while you're here. Let's get my man Richie Green and TireTalkSports.com to 5K. Listen, I'm getting a 10K. My anniversary date is April 4th. And I started this channel was April 4th. We are currently at 7,500. I'll tell you right now. We're currently at 7,000. Well, every time I need something, boy, technology kicked me in the behind. 7,524 subscribers right now. So go ahead and hit that thing, man. Hit that subscribe button. Let's make it happen. And I might be doing a campaign, Ricky.
Yep.
If we get to 10K before, Coach may run a 10K.
Oh, hold on now. Look, we can make it interesting. I'm sure we're going to do something for our 5,000 over at Tide Talk Sports as well. And two, real quick, you still got a few minutes before kickoff. Head on over to the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel and comment on the latest video with your score prediction. And if you hit the score, $50 from Tide Talk Sports, I'm going to send it to you via Cash App. You heard that, man. $50 just for giving out an assumption, a prediction. Go for it. I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot while we get off of here. 42-24, roll Tide.
42-24, roll Tide.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. Guess what I'm here for?
I love it. That's it.
You understand? So with all that being said, guys, we out of here. Thank you so much. Don't forget, immediately after the game, we are going to be right back on here. We're going to make it happen. I'm headed over to Ricky's house, which is probably about 9 hours away. Get me a plate, get on back, and we'll make it happen, man. Thank you so much for everything. Don't hang up, Ricky, when we get off. And with all that being said, let me cut this banner off so far as the phone number. Let me close this down because people still be calling. It's funny, man. People still call that number and leave voicemail and everything.
No doubt. Leaving voicemails on the calling number.
They leave voicemails about, Coach, I hate it. This is not fair. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, hey, I'll sit there and listen to it, man. So with all that being said, we out of here. We're going to holler at you. Thank you so much for checking out Coach Hayes Football Live, and we'll be back in a couple of hours. We're going to find out who is Po Lil Timmy.
That's right. And it's not about to be them boys from Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide.
You can pick him up at CoachHayesFootball.com under the shop tab. And with that being said, Ricky, we out of here, man.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right.